Think of National Public Radio and the sounds of Beethoven or Bach or Brahms may come to mind. But strangely enough, the network's top performers are not those venerable gentlemen, but are a couple of grease monkeys from Boston. Every weekend, Tom and Ray Magliozzi, who bill themselves as Click and Clack, the Tappet brothers, take to the airwaves and hold forth on the imprecise art of automotive repair. But what's turned Tom and Ray into a cult hit over their 18 years on the air isn't just the mechanical information. It's their take on how cars affect American lives and loves and values.
Hit it.
Hello and welcome to Car Talk on National Public Radio with us, Click and Clack, the Tappet brothers.
Tom and Ray Magliozzi are unlikely stars even in the eccentric world of public radio. Their Boston-based broadcast is the staple of 362 stations around the country.
Hello, you're on Car Talk.
This is Gordy from Endicott, New York.
And every month, some 30,000 listeners call their NPR 800 number trying to tap their automotive expertise.
So what's up, Gordy?
The brakes, since the time I bought the car, have been kind of soft. I took it over and had it looked at, and to the tune of $700.
Now you said they $700. I'm curious to know what they did for $700 because maybe we can change our pricing structure at the garage.
They seem to defame their profession and at least one of the major automakers on every broadcast. And maybe that's one reason why they're on non-commercial public radio.
Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi. I have a new Ford Aspire.
Boy, I mean, you talk about a dumb name.
Well, it aspires to be something better, yes.
Exactly. I mean, why would you name a car? I mean, what were they thinking? What did they think we
Well,
were
they had
going
narrowed
to
it down to two choices. It was either Aspire or Expire.
The brothers' mixture of consumer advice and mechanical mayhem even appeals to pedestrians who can't tell a carburetor from a camshaft. A lot of their listeners don't even own cars. The topics range from fuel injectors to backseat romance, and they seem the masters of both. The brothers once helped a listener write a classified ad to sell a car she didn't own to attract the kind of man she wanted to meet.
For someone who's never heard you, how would you describe the show?
It's a little bit about cars. And the rest is who knows.
If the Magliozzis aren't your average radio announcers, they're not your average grease monkeys either. After all, it's not every day that you find a couple of mechanics with degrees from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
So how did a couple of MIT graduates end up in the auto repair business?
We thought we were going to make $1 million.
The fact is they couldn't even afford to advertise, so they volunteered to appear on a public radio show as a way to get some free publicity. Their brotherly bickering and Groucho goes to the garage routines have been going on ever since.
When did you realize that this radio show was a going proposition? I mean, how did it evolve?
When they offered us money to do it.
We were doing it for nothing. We did it for years for nothing. And one day we decided to ask them for $20 a piece a week. And, I mean, we agonized over this, but, well, they'll never give us $20 a week. And they gave us $20 a week, and we said, we're in the fat city.
And this was after how many years?
About 5, I think. See how stupid we are. And then the next year, you know, buoyed by the success, we went in and asked for a $5 a week raise. And we were refused.
That's each.
Today, the Magliozzi automobile empire operates from offices high above Harvard Square. Besides the radio show, they've written a book, and there's a twice-weekly newspaper column. All of it run out of their fictional law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
So if you've been doing this almost 20 years, 18 years, I mean, has it evolved? Has it changed?
Oh, it's changed a lot. I mean, when we first started, we didn't know what we were doing. Actually, we don't know what we were doing.
What has changed is the people who call us. There were lots of people who used to work on their own cars. So the people who called us in those days were people who were like out in the driveway. I'm adjusting the valves on my '63 Dodge Dynamo. Should I do it hot or cold? And what's the clearance on the intake valve?
But life has changed a lot over the last 2 decades, and those kinds of calls have all but disappeared. Most people don't work on their own cars anymore. They're just too complicated. About the only things that haven't changed, they say, are the doors and windows.
The glass hasn't changed
Actually,
much.
rear view mirrors are now high-tech. You used to be able to just reach out and move the mirror, but now you got to find the button and press all that. So I guess that's changed.
Everything is changing.
So even if you want to fix things now, you can't even find the thing to fix. You need a computer to tell you where it is. Sad, isn't it?
People used to talk about Americans' love affair with their automobiles. Is that love affair still going on? Is it changed at all?
Gee, I don't think there's much to be in love with anymore.
What a thrill to take the wheel of a rocket Oldsmobile.
The Magliozzis miss the romance that once came as standard equipment on American automobiles.
I remember when I was a kid, you could identify every single car. I mean, a car would drive in the streets. There's a 56 Ford. There's a 59 Chevy. I work on cars every day, and I can't tell them apart. I mean, I don't know what is this thing we're leaning on here.
It's a 63 Dodge Dart.
It's an 87 Jelly Bean. I mean, they all look the same.
Look around your neighborhood. How often do you see someone out there polishing his car? I mean, hardly ever. I mean, when people were in love with their cars, they caressed them all the time. And now you can hardly get anyone to vacuum the car. No one cares.
Is that because they all look the same?
Maybe. I mean, there's no individuality anymore.
What's changed? Have the cars changed or have we changed? I mean, the fact that we're not out there polishing them.
How should we know? We're a couple of grease monkeys.
Go ask God, if you guys had to restrict your conversations to things you knew about.
That'd be the end
We
of
were
it.
off the air 15 years ago.
If you accept the notion that cars are a reflection of the people who drive them, what might you ask do the Magliozzis drive?
Get this now.
An 87 Dodge Colt Vista. When I saw that brown 87 Colt Vista,
With the smoke pouring out the tailpipe. He said, that baby's for me.
What are you driving?
63 Dodge Dart convertible. Black.
none of his family members will ride in the car. The only one that will ride with him is the dog, and he has to tie a pork chop around his neck to get the dog to get into the car with him.
While Ray still runs the garage, older brother Tom teaches marketing and runs a consulting business. Although he test drives all the sleekest new models, he says he'd rather drive his $2,000 Dart.
A 500 SL Mercedes, it costs you $92,000. Now, can that possibly be $90,000 better than this? This is good enough.
I have to say, this car rides really well.
Sure, it's good enough.
Doesn't seem to be burning any oil.
Doesn't burn on any oil. Not a drop.
He doesn't keep any in it.
I don't use oil.
You talk about this car like it's a family member, is it?
Oh, it's a friend. I would say a close friend.
It's like the black sheep of the family.
The Tappet brothers don't believe in buying new cars. A waste of money, they say.
I mean, this is thinking that only Americans could come up with, that it's cheaper to buy a $25,000 car than it is to buy a $5,000 car. I mean, someone said to me the other day, I have a car, it's 3 years old, and it's worth about $15,000, and I think I should trade it in now while it's still worth something. I mean, what kind of logic is this? If it's still worth something, keep driving it. I mean, why should you trade it in? Accountants start talking about things like depreciation. Who cares about depreciation? You got a car, it runs, you like it, you drive it forever.
What the brothers don't like are obnoxious drivers. Young women in Camaros are a favorite target. They're too aggressive, they say, and almost all of them, it seems, are named Donna. Then there's BMW drivers.
BMW drivers are classic BMW drivers. I mean, they're all the same.
Why?
That's it. Oh, because they're animals. They're always in a hurry. They always have to, I mean, they drive on the sidewalk. They'll do anything to get ahead. I mean, they're like, bring me to Wall Street, zip me ahead. I just want to be in front of everybody. I don't care who the hell is in my way. Boom! I don't think there's any other profile that matches as well with the car and the driver as BMW.
Well, Cadillac had the guys with the white belts and the white shoes. That was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have to sit like this when they drive.
I think they're one of our sponsors. Go ahead.
Now you know why we're not on television.
What about four-wheel drive cars? Why
Testosterone poisoning.
this explosion? What?
It's all testosterone poisoning.
What do you mean?
four-wheel drives are kind of macho, and it gives you that feeling of invulnerability, that no matter what happens weather-wise, no matter how much it snows or how bad the mudslides are, you can go out in your four-wheel drive, even if you have no place to go.
It's not just weather, though. I mean, if there's traffic, you drive right over it. They think they can do this. They're nuts.
Twinkies, great.
They prepare their broadcast, if you can call it that, by loading up on junk food. There's no script, as if we had to tell you. One critic compared car talk to listening to a couple of teenagers fooling around on the high school public address system. The brothers have suggested that lightweight Ford Festivas ought to come equipped with a funeral wreath. And they explain that the reason Dodge Caravans with a small four-cylinder engine have 7 seats is that so 6 passengers can help push the driver up hills. All this has made the brothers a Boston institution. Last year they filled Symphony Hall for a benefit performance.
What struck me was you always think about people study for decades to make it to Symphony Hall. And you say, how the hell do you get to Symphony Hall? We found out. You pay them $2,000 and you can do any damn thing you want.
Hi, sister.
You have a question? All right, I'll keep it clean. It's a family show.
The car I use is very important to me.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what I should be doing now to ensure that I'll meet it in heaven. And who better to ask than you two?
What kind of a car is it?
1991 Tercel, a beautiful blue.
I'm tempted to tell the little joke that my father told me last night. He'll be embarrassed, but he did tell me. A soul is...
Oh, you can't tell this. No.
I can't?
No.
Are you sure?
No. Sister, you must change your oil every 3,000 miles.
Changing your oil is just one of the list of things the brothers like to remind their listeners. Other wise words: pick the garage with the lowest overhead, never buy a model during its first year of production, and never ever buy a French car unless you live in France.
Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, how are you guys today?
Great, who's this?
I'm Donna, I'm calling from Baltimore.
Donna. Problems with the Camaro, huh?
Most people don't have a great opinion of people who run auto shops and garages.
That's true.
They're right up there with politicians and journalists.
Journalists.
How do you know if you've got a good mechanic?
By the size of his boat.